we spoke about the PSU banking pack. The government, in fact, is preparing a fresh wave of public sector bank consolidation with a phased plan to fold smaller lenders into the larger ones. They've done this in the past. This could be the next phase of that. On the potential merger list are Indian Overseas Bank, Central Bank of India, as well as Bank of Maharashtra, which could be the likely candidates. And who's going to acquire them? You could have players like State Bank of India, Punjab National Bank, as well as Bank of Baroda. These are the very stocks that have gone up quite considerably in the recent past. So the question for you is, have mergers worked for banks in the past, for the acquirer banks? And should you buy into some of these potential acquirer banks ahead of this consolidation? That's something that we're asking Ashutosh Mishra, who's the head of Institutional Equities Research at Ashika Stock Broking. Ashutosh, thanks so much for taking the time. Let me pose that question to you. Has, in your opinion, the first phase of this consolidation worked for the acquirer companies? And would you buy into any one of these or advise buying into any of these in the next leg?
So yes, it has worked. If you look at the performance of consolidated entity of the first round of public sector entity, they have done quite well. There were initial problems whenever we see this type of merger takes place. There is some initial problems out there, but post that, overall performance of the combined entity has improved. They are able to get a suitable size, which I think is a key reason why government at that point of time has also gone ahead with the merger, and probably, suppose in future, also they go ahead with a more merger. The important part will be that some of our banks will rank among the top 20 banks in the global ranking part of it. So keeping that in mind, I think it has worked in past also, and it will work in future. But speculating it at this point of time, who's going to merge where, it's a bit difficult.
Okay. The one is that there are steps taken. Two, that there is this whole conversation about reforms, both small and big, happening. Is the chatter around reforms and some small reforms happening as well enough to keep the buzz and the optimism around the PSU stocks alive? Or do you reckon that this time around the street would want the evidence of concrete steps?
So if you look at last 7 or 8 years from where the PSU banks were there, and from there they have recovered substantially, and now with all the latest reforms, if you look at, they are ready to take some more market share from the private sector banks at this point of time. And this is what our house call is also, that over at least for the next 1 to 2 years, public sector banks will continue to gain market share. So if that will continue, most probably market will satisfy with it, and that's why we have seen that they are one of the major performer in the last few years. Even post COVID, if you look, initial part of the COVID, if you remove part of it, public sector bank has given a very handsome return to the investor.
Okay, I just want to pull up the 1-month chart of some of these banks before our next question to Ashutosh. Indian Overseas Bank, Central Bank of India, Bank of Baroda, all of them that have been running up, and that puts into perspective the kind of moves that we have seen. Bank of Maharashtra also, and why this has been such a buzz, especially Bank of Baroda. Ashutosh, now my question is that for those who missed the bus in this run-up, and with the hopes that there will be, because the intent is clear that they do want to do the government does want to do some more consolidation in the public sector banking space. Is this the right time to take positions?
So yes, I think it is the right time for public sector banks because valuation is still reasonable. They are in a growth mode. So if I put at valuation as well as business growth numbers, they are really at a very good space. So keeping that in mind, I clearly see that there is a scope in public sector banks to give healthy return in the coming period, and credit cost is expected to remain quite low, and even ECL implementation, given the roadmap which they have done, and maximum of the banks has also guided investor that will be no hiccups in the ECL implementation. Keeping all this in mind, I clearly see still there is a lot of room available in the public sector space.
A larger public sector space, Ashutosh, what is your base case assumption for credit growth for the second half of this year, particularly in the context of State Bank of India already announcing that it expects a faster rate of growth, and so it's upped its guidance. Who, according to you, will be better than average for the public sector bank space?
So larger public sector bank like State Bank of India, Bank of Baroda, PNB, they will surely continue to gain, deliver good growth numbers. Even Bank of Maharashtra has delivered very good growth numbers. I think this bank will continue to do that. Indian Bank is another where I clearly see good momentum is taking place. These are the few banks where I clearly find they are they are pushing the growth in the right directions, and they are able to deliver as well as on profitability front.
Number that you're anticipating, though, blended for the PSU bank pack and for the banks that you've mentioned that are your favorites?
So yes, blended growth is also expected to be in the range of 1 to 2% above the system for the PSU banks. Even if you look at all the reforms which has been carried out by the RBI in recent past, it's clearly indicate that corporate growth will be slightly higher than the retail part of it. And even within the retail also, like SBI is having a major share in the home loan part of it. So keeping that in the mind, maximum of the key positive trigger or incremental trigger, if I say better, then it will have a positive impact on a growth number of public sector bank and large. But at the same time, private sector banks will also deliver. I don't expect it's negative. As a sector as a whole, we are going to deliver good numbers.
Ashutosh, top favorite in public sector and private sector bank before we let you go.
As SBI will remain my top favorite, followed by Indian Bank and Bank of India.
And in private sector banks?
It will be Axis at this point of time.
Axis Bank, okay. There was a UBS note yesterday on Axis as well, which was quite excited about it. Thank you so much, Ashutosh Mishra there, talking about the whole banking space, which has been in focus. I mean, on everyone's top list, or most brokerages' top list is financial. So what among that is working and what is not is the question.